Hello there, my name is Jaden, and welcome back to Albuquerque, New Mexico. Today, there's no need for an introduction. Today we're talking about Better Call Saul. Just kidding, April Fools!
I may have gone too far in a few places.
Scream 6 is the newest film in the Scream franchise, and honestly, it was great. Following the Woodsboro murders of 2022, our bundle of protagonists migrate to New York for college and get attacked by Ghostface once again. Am I talking like a newscaster? Wahoo! Usually for reviews, I always have a short segment stating my expectations going in, but this time, I didn't really have any expectations. For my most part, my friend Mando and I successfully avoided spoilers. Pretty much all I saw was that it had a 4.0 GPA on Letterboxd, so I think it's currently at like a 3.8. I think it just went down to a 3.7. Basically, no identities, no killings, nothing. Except for one part, but it wasn't major in the slightest. But before I get into the movie itself, I want to talk about the franchise as a whole and my opinion on it. So the friend I saw this with is a massive Scream fan, and he was the one who got me into the franchise. Like, we watched it like in like 4th or 5th grade, and then he started like bugging me to watch the whole thing. And then last summer, I finally caved in, and I watched all of it in pretty much like 3 days. Prior to that watch, I'd only seen the first one and the 5th one, and kill counts, but I didn't remember, so those don't count. My relationship with the first Scream film is an interesting little ditty, not gonna lie. When I first saw it, like I said, I was at a sleepover, and I think I already knew the killer's identity. I'm not exactly sure, but long story short, I thought it was quite boring. But with the 4.0, now a 4.1 rating on Letterboxd, I decided to give it a second chance, and I loved it. I'm a huge sucker for murder mystery movies, and I like slasher movies. Allure with Wes Craven's spirit and Kevin Williamson's voice in one combined. My opinion on Scream drastically changed, and for the better. It took me God knows how many years to finally appreciate this masterpiece of horror cinema. 9.5 out of 10. Scream 2 is very underrated. Why don't people like this one? This is the last time we see, by far, the best main trio in horror history paired up together, and more importantly, the last time we see Randy Meeks. I mean, he was kind of in Scream 3, but this is the last time we see him in the flesh. Why would you do that to Randy? That's my boy! That's my son! You just know he'd be thriving on Letterboxd right about now. I know the reveal is kind of... but hey, you gotta take what you can get, you know? 7 out of 10. Scream 3 is a mess. I don't remember. I didn't rewatch any of these movies for the new one, but I think the fact that I don't remember at all says enough. However, I think this is the one with the Jay and Silent Bob cameo.
Saul, it's a TV news shit, Connie f***ing jump!
So, 4 out of 10. Scream 4, more so forgettable, was definitely a mess. This was the one with like the live streaming and the intestines. For the whole thing, it looks like Vaseline was smeared on the lens, and it looks like, visually, it looks awful. But the thing that makes me feel so bad for saying this is that this is the last film ever Wes Craven worked on before he passed away in 2015. 4 out of 10, I think the ratings for 3 and 4 are just what I had on Letterboxd, and those have changed over time because just suit my ranking. So, Scream 5. I don't know what to call this one. This was the first Scream film I'd ever seen in the theater, and it was a really fun experience. Considering the legacy sequel trend that's been happening, it was pretty much inevitable that Paramount would hop onto it ASAP as possible. I remember fans being pissed when they announced that they were making a Scream film without Wes Craven, and understandably so. However, the fear kind of lessened when they announced that it was set to be directed and produced by the Radio Silence guys, who previously worked on Ready or Not. By the way, I have not seen Ready or Not because I don't want to. It's not on anything. I don't want to have to pay money. It's owned by like Focus Features or like Searchlight or something. It's on Hulu for premium subscription. I'm not paying live TV to go watch. I don't even know what it's about. Ready or Not is like hide and seek with So I Married an Ex-Murderer, I don't know. So yeah, I had not seen Ready or Not, so their attachment didn't really mean anything to me. However, after seeing the film, I'm so thankful they were chosen. There is so much love and care poured into... Okay, what are we supposed to call this thing? It is Scream, it is a 5th Scream film. It's just called Scream. What? I mean, Halloween 2018. Like, you can't go Scream 2022. It doesn't roll off the tongue, so... Anyway, the kills are graphic, the new characters are really interesting, and they actually do the legacy characters right. Instead of having Sidney act like Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi, Dewey... No, but seriously, they treat them in a respectful and fairly realistic way that feels like the natural progression of the characters. A nice little 7 or 7.5 out of 10, it doesn't really matter. And we are back to where we began, Scream 6. This was simply insane. Like Force Awakens, Scream 5 was heavily criticized for being too similar to its predecessors. No matter what you think about this new one, you cannot deny that this one is definitely different. For the first 10 minutes, the formula is flipped in such an intelligent way, like the gas in the theater that had like 10 people max. It was a very good way to throw the lightsaber without being disrespectful.
What the
I know these newer films get a lot of flack because a specific touch of Wes Craven and Kevin Williamson was absent, considering neither were a part of the project. But if I'm being completely honest, only the first 2 Scream films were good. As I stated earlier, the 3rd installment is forgettable and ridiculous, and the 4th one has that weird smeary filter on the camera. I didn't enjoy those ones, and I'm not going to revisit them anytime soon. Okay, like, I get that their films can be over-referential sometimes, and in the case of Scream 4, not even have anything to comment on. They already did the reboots in Scream 4 and the requels in Scream 5, so... Prequel sequels? I don't know, but in all honesty, the diversion from the Woodsboro massacre plot was a much-needed risk that this franchise needed to take in order to stay alive. The New York setting works so well, especially for a mystery film like this. Listen, I've been to Manhattan, and if the streets are not crowded enough for your liking, the number of buildings and theaters shoved into one city block is enough to create the most claustrophobic atmosphere, of which this film has and takes advantage of, resulting in some of the most suspenseful sequences in the entire franchise. The core 4 main characters are developed a lot more than they were in the last film, especially Chad, played by Mason Gooding, and Mindy, played by Jasmine Savoy Brown. Mild spoiler, Mindy's letterbox jab got a good chuckle and a tear out of me. I'm glad Chad wasn't demoted to frat boy douchebag and is an actual person. Drop the letterbox, Mason. We know you have it. And you already know about the main sister duo being so tight! Tuco style.
Tight, yeah!
I didn't come up with the Better Call Saul intro until after I was writing it, so that's a terrible coincidence. This, again, feels like a natural progression of their characters, and their dynamic is so entertaining and realistic. I love it so much. Especially the murky morals of Sam, played by Melissa Barrera. I love the contrast between her and Sydney as protagonists, because the OG was pure as hell. We love Sidney Prescott. Sam, on the other hand, just go watch the movie. She's so much fun to watch. Oh, and Courtney Cox was good, go figure, and Kirby made me actually think about Scream 4 for once, so that is a plus. Throughout the 2 hours, I was never bored once. The tightly paced screenplay and intelligent direction made for an enthralling, suspenseful experience I recommend you see in theaters before it gets dumped on Paramount Plus for however long that service lasts. Now to the negatives, I don't have a lot. In an interview with Dead Meat, the Radio Silence guy said that they focused more on emotion than logic, which sounds like an awful direction, but it usually doesn't tamper their films too badly, at least it didn't really for these. However, there are some leaps and bounds that make zero sense. I'm not gonna say what, but you'll see. I'm not, like, mad about it. I'm glad that their anti-logic direction gives them more to work with for future installments, but it kind of takes away the stakes to some extent, but it's not as, like, bad or crazy as John Wick, so. The new characters are crazily underdeveloped and don't really make an impactful first impression. And the twists and turns, as mind-boggling and crazy as they were, felt dampened by repetition and predictability, but simultaneously blew my mind as the finale went on. And also, the final chase just went on for a little bit too long, in my opinion. It's like a little 3-act structure. It's kind of, like I said, predictable and kind of annoying. But, yeah. All things considered, I really liked Scream 6. It's by a landslide my favorite sequel, and I can't wait to watch it again and again, and then Scream 7, which is already in development, I think. I'm not sure about that. If you don't know my rating system, an 8 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10 is a golden ticket, and 9.5 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10 is a trophy. I'm gonna give Scream 6 and 8 out of 10, which is a golden ticket. If you've seen it, how'd you like it? Leave it in the comments down below. I'm interested in reading what you thought. Did you think it was a masterpiece? Did you think it was a hunk of junk? Or was my opinion the only correct one?
As a matter of fact, it was.
Thanks, Sam. Let me know! Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you haven't seen the other 5 Scream movies, go watch them on Paramount Plus right now, because the 6th one spoils all of it, like in one scene. Until next time, I've been Zach Cherry, and I'll be right back! Stay gold, everyone. Toodle! Toodles! Like, my camera battery is flashing. It's been going on for like 5 minutes. That's why not so fast. Sorry.